Hey, welcome, my friends. This is the 422nd recording of the Life is Marathon show, and I am truly grateful that we get to spend this time together. I'm grateful for your presence in my life. I'm grateful that even though I may not know you personally, there is a relationship between us. There is this energetic connection as I envision you sitting before me or standing before me. Again, I like to think of us as just sort of sitting around in a lobby or just a really comfortable place at a retreat center, whether it's at the beach or the mountains. But there's just this beautiful, loving, peaceful atmosphere in which we've gathered to just sit on comfortable couches and just talk about life and connect and build a real relationship. And so when I am in that place, in my imagination, I visualize you, I see you, I feel you. And it is also true that as you listen to me and you engage with the words that I'm saying and the energy that I'm sending out to you, you are indeed sending energy back to me, because I do believe that we just live in this one giant field of energy. There is this universal energy field in which we all live. And so there is no real isolation from one another. There is no separateness except that which we create ourselves in our minds and through our behaviors and actions, which supports separateness. So I love unity. I love connection. And so I'm deeply grateful for this opportunity to be with you. And I do want to give you another opportunity to interact with me personally and so many other people. I would love for you to join me in 1 month. We're recording this on April 9th. So in 1 month, on May 4th, 5th, and 6th, I'm going to be with Bill Courtwright and many other beautiful, energetic beings in the San Bernardino Mountains of California at the Poly Retreat Center. And we're going to do exactly this. We are going to share ideas and concepts and lift each other up. So go to breakfreeworkshops.com and read all about it. And then when you decide to buy your ticket, use the discount code Bruce. So it's going to take you over to a place where you buy your ticket. And once you select the ticket that you want, just put in the discount code Bruce, and you're going to get a 25% discount just for listening to this show, my gift to you. So thank you for doing that. So what I really want to talk to you about is in my coaching practice, I do an assessment with everybody. The very first meeting, I go through an assessment to see where they are in the 5 life categories of career, finance, health, relationships, and personal or spiritual development. And so I've got a series of questions that I ask. And we also do this in the climber community, by the way. So for those of you who are in it, you know what I'm talking about. But if you join the climber community, you're going to go through a initial process called Base Camp. And it's a 9 lesson videos. We recorded them 1 week at a time, so it's 9 weeks, but you can do them all in one day if you want. But the very first thing that we do is this assessment, this 5 life category assessment, to see where you are. Because I know a lot of people come to me with an idea that they want to engage with me in private coaching because they want to take their career and their finances to the next level, only to find out that there is another category that is significantly more deficient than others and needs to be built up. And so I was reading an article recently that, so there is, I just want to share with you, in my own personal experience with people, there is one life category overall that tends to be lower on average in most of my clients and most of the people who come into the climber community. And it's something that we don't really think about intentionally or consciously. And so I came across this article that started off by asking a question. And it says, what is the number one thing? What do you think is the number one thing that contributes to a long and healthy life. Okay, so the question is specifically about longevity and health. And then it lists a few things. So what do you think is the number one thing that contributes to a long and healthy life? Is it eating a healthy diet? Is it regular exercise? Is it not smoking or drinking excess alcohol? Is it the engagement in mindfulness or meditation? Is it having free time and a lack of stress? Well, if you answered any of those things, those are not necessarily wrong answers, and all of those things, eating well, exercising, not putting substances in our body that are known just chemically to be toxic to our system. It's not just meditation and mindfulness or having lots of free time. Okay, although all of those do contribute. There is a study that was conducted by a joint group of researchers from Brigham Young University and the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, and the numbers here are astounding. They studied over 300,000 men and women over a period of multiple years, and most of these people were well advanced in age as well. So they were really kind of studying old people and trying to figure out what is it that helped them. So these are old people who are not only, they've lived a long time, but they are also quite healthy relative to the general population. So 300,000 people were studied. And while a lot of them came back with these answers of diet and exercise and not smoking or drinking excessive alcohol, many of them practiced mindfulness or meditation, but there was one thing that was the outlier, that far and above all of these other factors, one thing leapt out of all of the research, and it was this: the power of friendship, the power of community. Yes, so my friends, and that's why I like to call you my friends, having friends will, more than anything else in your life, help you live a longer, healthier, happier, more fulfilling life. And that's ultimately what we all want, right? My purpose in life, or rather my current mission is life, my purpose is love, and my core values tend to center around love and freedom and peace and growth and health. But my current mission, and I believe it will always be my mission, because it's the way I can carry out this mission in so many different ways, whether it's through speaking to you or speaking to groups of people in retreat centers like at the Break Free workshops, or speaking to groups at a business, or just sitting down with somebody. My mission in life is to help you live intentionally as the fullest expression of who you were created to be. And for most people, that fullest expression of who you were created to be is going to be those things. We all want to live long, but we tend to really only want to live long if we're healthy, right? I'm not sure I want to live to be 100 years old if I'm spending the last 20 years of my life in an assisted living facility or dependent on machinery to keep me alive, right? But we all want this longer, happier, healthier, more fulfilling life where we are constantly giving to each other. There is this give and take. There is this flow between people, right? We were built for community. Right there, right? It starts right off in Scripture. You know, God says it is not good for man, and the writing there is plural. It's a royal man. So even though it's telling the story of the creating of Eve to give to Adam, it's not a gender specific phrase there. It is not good for mankind to be alone. We thrive in community. Likewise, it is very rare. You might find the occasional guru at the top of the mountain who is, 100 or 105 or 6 years old or whatever, but it's rare. It's very, very rare. If you study the lives of people who are in their 90s or in their hundreds. Again, I talked about this recently where I saw a lady who was 105 years old, and she was talking about all of the things that she has seen in her lifetime as far as technology is concerned. And there were a couple things that she really liked that have benefited, and then there are a couple pieces of technology that she doesn't like, and but anyway, what she talked about was also this idea that even though she has outlived all of her friends and most of her family, she has now grandchildren and great-grandchildren, and so she has always been in this deep, deep sense of community. Relationships are so vitally important. And again, the one life category, when I do an assessment with somebody, it doesn't really matter what they do for a living. Again, they may have come to me because they really want to take their career to the next level. I do have a lot of experience helping people transition from a professional career where they were a lawyer or a doctor or an accountant or something, but what they really want is to do something, to be self-employed. They want to be creative. They want to write a book. They want to paint. They want to do professional photography. And I help people transition in those areas. I do help people build their finances, although that's not my area of expertise. It's something that in the entire scope of life coaching, we absolutely talk about these things. But over more than any other life category, the life category that I find to be deficient is that of relationships. Our ability to have deep and meaningful relationships is so profoundly important to your overall health. Having deep, meaningful relationships, supportive relationships. This is also so important. Okay? It is often the case where somebody has a very strong community, tribe, if you will, but that tribe is holding people down. And so what I'm talking about here are not being part of a tribe where you have to be like everybody else, or there's a lot of guilt being thrown on you if you want to try to step out of the tribe. What I'm talking about are real friendships. My friends are always encouraging me to be the fullest expression, the best version of Bruce that I can possibly be. I'm always encouraging my children to, not do what I want them to do, or not do what their mother wants or their grandparents want them to do. I want them to tap into what makes them come alive when you do it. And if the studying of how to do that, going off to school is part of that path, that's beautiful. But if your path of life, I say to this my kids, if your path of life means that you move to another town, to another state, to another country, I am 100% supportive of that. I'm never going to guilt you, say, oh, well, when are you coming home? I miss you. Or, yeah, okay, we live in Virginia, but go ahead. Move to California and just forget about your dad. No, that's not me. But that is often the community that we do surround ourselves. So that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about surrounding yourself with like-minded people, supportive, encouraging people who truly love you. And love is always, it doesn't really matter what definition you go to, whether you go to a dictionary or whether you go to the teachings of spirituality. Love is always an encouraging energy. It is always an energy that wants another human being to grow, to prosper. I want you. I want you to be amazingly successful. I want you to have great wealth. It's what I want for you. If that's what you want for yourself, then that's what I want. If that helps you to become the fullest expression of who you were created to be, then absolutely. I love that quote by Golden Rule Jones. He started the Golden Rule Insurance Company. My goodness, back in like the late 1800s or the early 1900s. I don't know the date, but Golden Rule Jones said, "What I want for myself, I want for everyone." Can you say that? I know the things that I want, and I'm so grateful that I am in a deeply significant soulmate relationship with somebody who is always encouraging me. I want that for myself. And guess what? I want that for you. I want that for everybody. I don't have any enemies, but if I had enemies, and well, I guess one of the reasons is I don't have any enemies in my own mind. I'm sure there are other people out there who may or may not like me, but I don't hold a negative thought about anybody. Okay? And part of it is because I want for everybody exactly what I want for myself, which is essentially peace and happiness and freedom and growth and health and love. The things I want and I value for myself, I value those things for you. So this is what we're talking about. So let me jump back to the article. I can get really caught up talking about this, you can tell. So if you need to, have a sip of whatever it is you're having. If that's what you're doing, well, take a sip of coffee or of tea or some nice lemon water or alkaline water. So let's just enjoy this time together. And so the article makes mention of Napoleon Hill. And I do really like the teaching of Napoleon Hill, although I'm a little biased towards a guy named Wallace Wattles, who wrote the book The Science of Getting Rich many years before Napoleon Hill wrote Think and Grow Rich. And so while Napoleon Hill doesn't necessarily give credit to Wallace Wattles, I can see the profound influence of Wallace Wattles' writings in Napoleon Hill's writings. So there's no way he wouldn't have read the writings of Wallace Wattles. But books like Think and Grow Rich and The Law of Success and Outwitting the Devil are amazingly powerful books. Napoleon Hill was a great, great teacher who studied these people. He studied amazingly successful people. That's what the whole book, Think and Grow Rich, is all about. And he came down to a couple main points in Think and Grow Rich. First of all, the number one main point of Think and Grow Rich is the think part. Okay? What you think is what you create into your life. That which you dwell upon, you can't help but move in that direction. So your thoughts are the most powerful creative thing that you can have. And so he talks about the thoughts that you want to move into. So if your thoughts are of scarcity, if your thoughts are of competition, then you're always going to have to be in competition for everything that you get in life. If your thoughts are of, somebody hurt me, and that's what you dwell upon dominantly, then you are continuing to sit in that energy. So I just did a show called Gratitude is Life's Secret Sauce. Gratitude, and gratitude in advance, is the most powerful creative force in the universe, according to Neil Donald Walsh. And I say that gratitude for what you have right now in this present moment is the rock solid foundation upon which you can build your future. You can't really build an amazing future on anger in this present moment, on grief, on sorrow, on competition, and I've got to get my slice of the pie. It's a really unstable ground to build a really powerful, successful future in. So Napoleon Hill talks about that. But the one thing that Napoleon Hill keeps coming back to over and over and over again in his books is the power and the principle of community. Again, we were not built to be in isolation. It is not good for mankind to live alone. Everything that you want in life is going to be, unless you really want to be a hermit, okay? Now, you can, by yourself, you can find inner peace and happiness. That's true. But what's the point, right? What's the point if you can't share that inner peace and happiness with other people, right? That's what it's all about, is to share and encourage and to let your inner peace and happiness be contagious and infectious. Let it be, let it be that energy that spreads. And so Napoleon Hill talked about the principle of community, and he understood its power, and he was the first one to coin the phrase the Mastermind group. And this is why I have been a part of Mastermind groups for many, many years. It's why I run my own Mastermind group where we meet every other Friday. Would love for you to be in that community with me. Would love for you to be a part of the climber community. I would love for you to be a part of any of the real relationship building communities that I'm a part of. So whether it's workshops like Break Free, or whether it's the climber community, whether it's my mastermind group, so there is great power. And so there is this idea that where two or more people are gathered with a common purpose, there creates an energy that is greater than the sum of its parts. That's a quote by Aristotle. Okay, the whole is more than the sum of its parts, which is this concept of synergy. It is the power of collection. I know that when I get together with people who are of the same kind of energy level as me, and I know that when I'm around the right people, when the conversations that we have just over dinner, we are talking about ideas. That's what I like to talk about. And so when I'm surrounded by people who like to talk about ideas, about encouraging, and talk about growth, and how I can make my life more expansive, and how we can make our community more expansive, then I'm around the right people. And if I'm around people where we're talking about other people in a negative way that brings people down, or we point out what they're doing wrong or what we don't like about other people, then I feel that negative energy, and it's very, very difficult for me to remain in that circle of friends. I can drop in there every now and then. I've had some friends that I have had to move on from, because that's where they are. There's no judgment. I absolutely was in that mindset. I was stuck in that energy level, that low beta energy, where we talked about other people as a way of kind of building ourselves up. But now I love to be with other people who are of a higher energy level and a higher mindset. And we talk about ideas. And so that's what this idea of a mastermind is. When you can surround yourself with other people who are gathered together for the power of and for the purpose of encouraging one another to be the most they can be, that is an amazingly powerful thing. And that is the power of a mastermind group. Surround yourself with good people and cultivate relationships with them. And I would throw in there, it's not part of the study, but you have to know, and you have to tap into the courage to step out of friendships with people who are holding you back, friendships that are based on negativity and toxicity and ragging on other people, putting other people down. It's just not the type of energy that you want. And so because I know the power, because Bill Courtwright knows the power of these deep, deep social connections, that's why. That is why we built the climber community, because we want to help people we want to help you on your journey of life. We want to share with you information and ideas and inspiration and wisdom, and it doesn't just flow from us, right? It's not just from myself or from Bill. It is the power of community. where we share with each other's victories. We support each other through our difficult times. And so that's why we've built this incredibly powerful transformational community platform. Okay? And it is a real thing. There is deep power in sharing your life journey with other people. Okay, with people who have questions to ask, where other people have the answers to your questions, and people just have stories to tell. They love, in our community, they love to share their victories. And they also love to openly, in a place of total security, be able to say, you know what? I'm really struggling here on this. I'm struggling with my finances. I don't know what to do. I'm struggling with this relationship or with my children. And then, my goodness, they're just flooded first and foremost with love and support, and people saying, I totally get that. Either I'm going through it myself, or I've been there before and this is how I got out of that situation. This is what helped me. This is what didn't help me. Okay, so it is a powerful thing. Okay, people who are struggling need advice and encouragement. And there's also this amazing power in being the one who can give advice and encouragement. And that is the power of this mastermind group. And so it's what happens in my private mastermind group, and it's also what happens in the climber community. So jump over to either one of those. So the links are all in the show notes for this. So anyway, back to the science of the Brigham Young and University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill study. Okay, so here's what some of the things that they boiled it down to. The study shows that social connections. Okay, now we're not talking about how many. Let me just say this. As a person with well over 500,000 followers on Twitter, that's a beautiful thing, okay? But that's not what we're talking about here. So it's not the number of social media friends that you have on Facebook or on Instagram, unless those lead to real relationships, okay? I don't have a relationship, a friendship with probably 99% of the people who follow me on Twitter. Okay. However, it is that I'm not going to throw out these social networks, because it is through these social networks. It was through Twitter that I met Bill Courtwright, and now we're business partners. It is through Twitter that I met Maima Carmo, who has been a guest on my show many times and is a very, very close personal friend. I know and I love her daughter, and we have dinner very often. And so the four of us, the one I'm in love with, and she doesn't want her name mentioned. She's still a little shy yet. She's not quite sure what to do with all of the influence that I have. So let's just know that there is this beautiful person in my life, and we go out for dinner with Maima. That relationship started on Twitter. My deep, close relationship with people like Bill, I mentioned Bill Courtwright, but Bob Berg and Dr. Steve Marabali and Lisa Peterson, all of those started as just social media contacts, okay? But they developed into real relationships. So I don't want to say that social media is bad. Oh, first of all, let's remember Facebook. By the way, people have been on Facebook and they completely forget. They probably in the news now. There's a lot of, because of the stuff going on with Cambridge Analytica and Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg having to appear before Senate subcommittees and stuff like that. But it's irrelevant. Do you remember the purpose for which Mark Zuckerberg and his buddies at Harvard University, why they created Facebook? It wasn't so that these people would have these basically lots and lots and lots and lots of non-relationships. It wasn't about how many likes you could get on a post. Okay, it wasn't about how many Facebook friends that you can have. Mark Zuckerberg built the site because he wanted a way to meet girls, right? It was originally a dating site for computer science geeks because none of them felt comfortable going out on whatever was available at the time. And so Mark Zuckerberg and his buddies, who were mostly nerds, couldn't get dates. And so they created Facebook as a way of creating real relationships. That's what's so important. It keeps coming back to real, face-to-face, voice-to-voice. And while I don't necessarily meet everybody in person who's a member of the climber community, there is real interaction. There is an exchange of not just information or data, there's an exchange of energy. And then we have monthly Q&A sessions in the climber community. Not only are Bill and I recording videos every week on a specific topic, we have a live video conference call. So it is an opportunity for me to see your face and hear your voice and for us to talk about anything. You get to ask any question that you want. And it's so much fun because somebody will ask a question, and while Bill and I are there really to be the main people answering the questions that gets asked, it's very often another person in the community that has the best answer for that or that experience. So again, social networks are great, but not just for the accumulation of numbers and this there is an unhealthy addiction to dopamine. You know, we go, oh well, somebody liked my picture that I posted. Wow, I got 500 likes, or I got 75 retweets on that post. Well, it's only important on a certain level, right? And so if it leads to real relationships, that's what we're talking about. So again, back to the science here. So the study shows how important social connections, okay? And what the study uses the word social connections to mean real relationships with friends, family, neighbors, colleagues, statistically improve your odds of survival, just survival, by over 50%. And likewise, it studied people with low social interaction. Again, people who tend to be isolated. You stay in your house, or you just go to work and you leave work and you don't build relationships with your coworkers. Okay, people who have low social interaction, the health risk factors are staggering. So the isolation, it says, is equivalent to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. It's equivalent to being an alcoholic. It is more harmful than not exercising. Okay? If you have a lot of friends and the interaction is healthy and good and encouraging, then exercising is great, but that's more important than exercising. Isolation, however, is more harmful than just sitting on your couch. Okay? And isolation is twice as harmful as obesity. Okay? So it basically says that you can go ahead and eat or drink or smoke yourself to an early grave, and it doesn't encourage that, by the way. If you're going to isolate yourself socially, that is essentially what you're doing. The health factors of isolation are very, very profound, as are the benefits of having strong, healthy social interactions. So that's the bad news. The good news is that real, meaningful social interactions are profoundly healthy for you. Okay, the BYU researcher Julianne Holt-Lundstedt said that there are many pathways through which family and friends influence health for the better, from as simple as a calming touch, a kind word, helping you to find the meaning of your life. Goes on to say that when someone is connected to a group and feels responsible for other people, that sense of purpose and meaning translates to taking better care of yourselves and taking fewer risks. Again, the supposition in this is that your connection to a group of people is a group of people who are encouraging you to grow and to be healthy. This is not necessarily what I talk about, the tribalization part that basically is your cage and it's so hard to get out of that group. So we're talking about having very, very healthy, encouraging relationships, not codependent, toxic relationships, which is often the case as well. Okay, so Timothy Smith, who was also part of the study, says that the modern conveniences of technology can lead some people to think that social networks aren't necessary. And again, it's not true. Unless if you're using the number of Twitter followers you have, the number of Instagram followers you have, as a way of deluding yourself into thinking that you have strong social connections. But if all you're doing is constantly checking your phone to see how many likes you got and getting that dopamine rush, that actually is addictive. That's like being addicted to crack or to heroin or to alcohol or to sex or whatever, and it's unhealthy. If you have these social networks and you're using the technology to have real interaction, so I will see Bill Courtwright post something on Facebook, and it's a picture of him, in the gym with David or his son, and they're working out or whatever. I see Mama with her daughter or at a function where she's speaking, then that enhances the real relationship that I have with that person. So technology can cause us to take relationships for granted. And, so that's not what we'd want to do with these social networks. Okay. So friendships can have a major, major impact on your health and well-being is basically what it's coming down to. Friends can help you celebrate the good times, provide support during the bad times. They can also prevent loneliness and give you a chance to offer needed companionship in return. Also, bear in mind, this is my sidebar, is that the things that you want in terms of your career are always going to be dependent on you establishing healthy relationships. This is why in my Lunch with My Life Coach series, I spend so much time talking about personal branding, which is essentially having a reputation, being social, being winsome, being a person who cares about other people, right? Companies don't exist. Companies are only collections of people who have united for a common purpose and mission. Right? So the better you are at building relationships and holding and having healthy relationships is going to get you that promotion, or it's going to get you that interview, or it's going to be where you might meet that special someone who you spend the rest of your life with. Okay, so friendships can encourage you to change or avoid unhealthy lifestyle habits. Okay, they can help you cope with traumas such as divorce, serious illness, job loss, or the death of a loved one. Okay, they can increase your sense of belonging and purpose. Friendships help you boost your level of happiness and reduce stress, and can improve your self-confidence and self-worth. Again, it all depends. This is, again, based on friendships that are healthy, that are everyone has come together for the purpose of encouraging, not for the purpose of what can I get out of this relationship, but how can we be in real partnership? This, again, goes back to what I've been talking about recently in this heart, head, hand connection, where we are in unity with each other. Our hearts are connected in love and purpose. Our minds are connected in acts of creativity and ideas, and our hands are engaged in carrying out the ideas and the creativity of the mind. And when we're all doing that together, it creates amazingly beautiful, beautiful stuff. So get connected, make friends, deepen your existing relationships, reach out to each other. Okay? Winston Churchill says that we make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give. Okay? Now, again, there has to be this even flow, and there is. So, there has to be this constant cycle. If you give and give and give and give and give, and you're not receiving, then that's unhealthy. Okay? But if you are giving with an energy of love, knowing that what you get back might not come to you from that specific person. I know that I can be really kind to somebody who doesn't have anything to give me back, which is a beautiful thing. A real act of love is to give to somebody, whether it's words of encouragement or whether it's, maybe helping them out with their finances. But it's a real gift when there is absolutely no way that person can give you anything in return. But what you are open to is this flow, this beautiful law of mutual exchange. And so when I give to somebody who has absolutely no way of giving something back to me, I almost always experience the very same thing from somebody else doing something for me. So there is this flow. But again, the flow has to be with this idea that this is community, this is relationship. When you're giving with the idea of getting something back, it's not giving, it's manipulating, by the way. I used to be the master of this. I used to give to people, but it was because I was so lonely. I was operating at a deficit, and I thought that, if I give because I'm supposed to give, then that person has to give back to me. And so I'm going to keep giving and keep giving and keep giving. But what I was really trying to do was manipulate that person or those people into giving me what I wasn't giving myself, or what I wasn't open to receiving from other people, because that person may or may not have been able to give it back to me. So again, I wanted to share this idea with you because over again, I encounter people who come to the climber community, or they come to me for coaching, or they actually come to me for business. I was working with the CEO of a company of 400 employees recently, and he wanted help being the CEO, which was really cool because I love to be able to be that. I like to kind of think of myself as co-CEO with people who hire me as a coach at that level, because the ideas just flow. They're beautiful. But what I very quickly found out was this person had a different problem going on in his business. He thought that his job as a CEO was to help increase sales and to help increase the profitability of the company. And he was focused on the outward activity that he thought was necessary to do that. But as I started doing deep work with him and asking him about the relationships between himself and his board of directors, between his leadership staff and the staff, all the way down to the people that work in the manufacturing centers, right, there were serious relationship problems. Okay, there wasn't this sense of unity going on where everybody, people were just showing up to collect a paycheck is really what it was. And that type of business isn't going to last very long. Where a company really needs to function like a mastermind, where everybody comes together united for a common purpose with a common mission of creating something, not competing for something. And so if you've got competition going on within your business, between members of your team, if you're a business owner, I would love the opportunity to talk with you about this. A company really should be functioning like a symphony, playing beautiful music that your customers enjoy interacting with. And so if you've got discord to use a musical term there, if you've got discord internally in the players in the symphony, they are not going to be, you as a whole unit are not going to be playing beautiful music. It's the vibration that goes out is going to be unpleasing to the ears energetically. It's just a metaphor. So I would love to work with you on this. So there again, community, number one thing that was found by this study of 300,000 people of what led to long life and health and happiness and significance was the power of community, having strong, mutually encouraging relationships. And part of that is knowing, I talked about that when not only in my late 40s, when I started training for a marathon, I was out of shape and I was overweight. I discovered a lot of things during that process. And yes, I lost maybe 20, 25 pounds while I was running for my first marathon. But in the process of discovering who I am, getting reconnected, now, again, I didn't discover my purpose. Like I didn't create my purpose. What I did was I reconnected to it. Everybody is born with a purpose. Every child knows this. You see it in the way they play. Everybody has these unique gifts. They're unique in their expression. There are many people who have a purpose of love and a core value of freedom and peace and health and growth. But we all express it a little differently. And as children play, we see that. Okay? And then it gets domesticated, it gets tribalized out of us when we're children, and we get disconnected. The mind gets disconnected from the heart. And so what happened in my process of getting reconnected with my heart, I also discovered that I was in a bunch of relationships that were holding me back. I was cynical and sarcastic and angry and frustrated, and so were all of my friends. Okay? I had associated myself with people who were just like me. And when I came to the place where I didn't want to be that person anymore, I realized I couldn't move on while staying around that negative energy. Okay? So I like to say that in the process of training for my first marathon, I lost about 25 pounds in my own body, but I lost hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of pounds of toxic relationships that I was engaged in. And now I don't see them as toxic. I'm not in friendships with those people anymore. But I love them. I see them as divine. I appreciate them as human beings, and I can interact with them socially for very limited periods of time. Okay? But again, I can't stay in that energy where they just want to talk about other people and sarcasm and cynicism and ripping on whoever the president is. Have you ever noticed that it really doesn't matter who's in the White House? There are going to be people who are going to be complaining about anybody who's not running the government according to the way they want it run. That's not the way I want to live my life. I want to be around high energy, creative, high consciousness people where we talk about ideas. We constantly want each other to grow. And if your growth means that you experience a kind of growth in any area of your life, all of them, to the point where you far exceed me, I am truly, truly grateful for you. And likewise, I want to be around people who, if my path of growth is faster than theirs, I don't want them getting jealous. I don't want to be around people who want to hold me back or get upset because I grew faster than they did. So this is what we're talking about, the power of community, the power of a mastermind. And again, I invite you to engage with me. If you would like, by the way, a coaching consult with me, I do these for free. I am happy to sit on a video call and get to know you one-on-one and find out whether or not there's a match. If there's somewhere that I can, or some way that I can help you be the fullest expression, to reach your full potential, then I want to use my gifts, my purpose, my mission to help you do that. So I'd love to have a video call with you. Just go to brucevanhorn.com, and right at the bottom of that first paragraph, there's a little link that says contact me. Just shoot me a message through my website and say, hey, Bruce, I heard you're talking on your podcast. I'd love to have a coaching consult with you. And I'll send you a link and we'll set it up. It's a beautiful thing. I love to know. And we may work one-on-one. And again, this is for you personally, or if you run a business or you want me to come in and speak to a team, I'm very open to the conversation. I love creating relationships. By the way, I don't like going to doctors who see so many patients through the course of their day that I'm just another person. And by the time I come back to see them in 6 months, they have to look through their chart to figure out who in the world I am. They don't even remember me. I become very, very close friends with all of my coaching clients. I have not had a single coaching client who, I don't value as a close friend. So I love that. Just connect with me and we'll find a place, whether it's one-on-one coaching or business consulting, or whether it's joining my Mastermind group, which is a very powerful way to do this in a small group setting. Or it may be joining the climber community where you're getting this love and support from lots of people in this community, climbercommunity.net. We'd love to have that conversation with you. So again, thank you so much for being with me. Again, last opportunity here, or it's the time is running. So if you live near San Bernardino, California, or you can drive there, that's great. If you don't, the time for you to realistically book plane tickets, you don't have to worry about hotels or lodging. We've got all of that covered for you. But go to breakfreeworkshops.com. It is an all-inclusive retreat. So breakfreeworkshops.com, use the discount code BRUCE, B-R-U-C-E, and get 25% off your price. So anyway, thank you again. I do this because I really do love you, and life is a marathon, so let's train for it.